Hey guys, this video is about your programming and how we can gradually, because we have been drip fed into our conditioning, inculcated. So this is a gradual desensitization to something that is not in our orientation of the origin. So it's about that. Excuse me for not sounding like a clear whistle of a conduit. I recently had a virus and I thought I was immune because all the spiritual, practitioners, being a practitioner of spirituality, reorientation to the divine, which vivifies your cells, enables you to be more luminescence. But sometimes, if you're around certain people in the city centres, that can also, you can contractually take on energies that you're not generating because of the disease and disorder. The disease, dis-ease, not at ease, not orientated with divine emanation and transmission, reflecting on the reality for what it really is. So maybe I've contracted it from somewhere like that, the frictional atmospheres. We're not Superman. We can't always be a complete deterrent, for people in that frictional state. Anyway, this video is about programming and how you can't just immediately become spiritually aligned. It's a process, and the process has to be orientated around intent. But it gets to the point where the intent just becomes the reflex of now your whole being. And the affirmations are only transient motivations, but you do it that often that it becomes habitualized, but it's just a reversion. It's not, you're rehabitualizing a conditioning within your life, which you're kneading in back into the floor to refashion your door, which is, and that's what we're doing. So we're refashioning it on the basis to recalibrate with the divine, sublime abode, which we're an effect of mirroring this reality. And it's hard to grasp with the mind because the mind only works on the paradigm of objectivity, which seems like other than what you are. So everything's become relative to that. But to get out of that, we need to slowly reflex ourselves back in to the origin. And it takes time. And this is not just going to be something immediate. And I know recently I just feel like the people that are spiritually orientated, it will be getting tested now. 2020 is a year that everything was supposed to lapse back into a state of congruent fluidity instead of resistance. And you may be having experiences where you're on certain heavily public condensed areas of friction, and you'll be getting tested to see if you are aligned with what you have been doing all these years, orientating yourself around the divine. And it's almost like they are there to contrast that, but are you still feeding into that friction and allowing that to be a reflex reaction within you? Or are you now, through that, and able to confirm what you are other than that? And this is the tests, if you will. Many different ways of saying it. If you're in a situation and a scenario where, say for example, you're from your old paradigm of carbon, which is objectivity, polarized reflection of life, that will get tested just to see where you're at and to confirm to you where you should be. And it's like the programming is showing itself. It's like, it's almost like it has to go back to how it was, but to then quickly be reminded of what actually is and what you've always been doing. So you could be in a scenario and you'll feel other people's conditioning empathetically, because we're empathetic beings. But that empathy is supposed to be used in a conducive manner to liberate others out of their contractual conditionings of relative to the paradigm of illusion. And sometimes that's where empathy should be used as a tool. But we do pick up the negatives too and the conditionings. And it's just to show you that you're not part of that programming, but you're supposed to use it to your advantage to help others. So that's what it's about. My mother's home, by the way. Wait until she comes in. Mother, I'm just doing a YouTube video.
I know, she's just gone like that for it when I shut up. Right.
You're on video now.
Alright, so.
Do you want to come and have a look? Do you want to come in, chat?
Yeah, I know.
Okay then. This is a beautiful divine mother.
Hello.
Right, that's it now.
Okay.
I want to finish. So where was we at? Yeah. Where was we at? Programming. Yeah. So empathy as well. So when your empathetic state should be used to be conducive to your environment, and then in order to liberate and attenuate anybody who's in need of it, who needs that. But not everybody will want that. Not everybody will want that alleviation, because their ego will still be in an emphatic state of preservation, meaning forcefully trying to preserve through reflexes over the years. It's not their fault. We're not condemning here, but just to stay away from it, and they shouldn't exist to you. I don't mean in a sense of repelling. I mean in a sense of they shouldn't be in energetic proximity, because it may impede your energy. So you have to learn not to permit that to do that, not to give it permission to be effective to you and your energy field. So the programming will try to cling. in these situations, it will try to claw because it's so used to being that. But this is where, in 2020, is a state of now sovereign, and you have you have to trust the. You have to now trust the fluidity in which you are not the proprietor over, which means you are not the one that has autonomy over the fluidity of what your heart is just the effect of. But when you ride that wave, it will become the abundance. And what will be attracted from your innate qualitative essence, in the flow of the abundance, it will attract the abundance of itself so involuntarily. So you will not be inducing any kind of resistance. And this is the test to now just let that be. But it's going to come in the form of other people, because it's reminding you, oh, I'm no longer what this is. I'm no longer what this is. I'm no longer that person's conditioning. That was an old paradigm that actually held no tangibility. It never even existed. But this is a part of the dual game, the divine ordinance that was already predestined as a intervallic phase wave of Earth cycles and experiences, and we're like a fragmented micro expression of that whole, but to realize itself again and to know its nucleus, and then from that nucleus, for it then to know itself from that space, that it was always that nucleus, that everything is always already stored. The accessibility of that is already stored in the nucleus, and all this reality is literally just reverberating that in a three-dimensional arena of tactile awareness, touch to perceive, of illusion, but it's all an effect of that. So anything that you can do will be in the essence of that, already accessible to you. But like I said, this video is about programming, and that program is like a virus, and it will come up every now and then in the form of other micro aspects of that expression. But it should consolidate your way of authenticity and sovereignty through a reflection of the contrast of what you know it isn't anymore. You know, it's not that. Before, it may have affected you in a negative way, but now it should not even be positive or negative. It should just be in the middle, knowing that one has to know the other through itself, through its dichotomies, through its polarities. But it's all one magnet, one polarity, two polarity, one magnet. Make the magnet to be a smooth oscillation. Make the magnet to go through itself, to be the animate effect of the whole inclusive self. So this means we can't repel the negative people that are in dis-ease, not in the order of the divine way, because we have to include them as a part of the expression of it. But just don't allow our trip-ups to proliferate more of that energy, because it was just an infinitesimal moment just to quickly show you that this is not you anymore, but you have to experience it because it's that experienced, and it's everybody else too. But it should just give you the, impetus into ricocheting more of a positive. So it should confirm that that's not you anymore, and I want to be free. I want to be liberated. Say this every morning. I want to be liberated today. I can choose to be liberated and traverse the dense layers because the divine is always what you are. And when you die, it's too late to have expressed it in physical form. It's like, oh, let's just say, for example, personifying the whole thing. Oh, I could have just lived that way. I could have just lived in that free flowing way. Always, it was always there, accessible. So let's get over all this crap about the politicians and Donald Trump. If you wasn't exposed to the effect of the sub-reality, subsuming reality of TV, you wouldn't know these people. Another YouTuber said this, can't remember his name, of African descent. Well, we're all of that, but we've been, what's the word? We've been diluted. We're all of that descent. But yeah, I don't know I can't remember the name. But yeah, he said that if you're not exposed to it, you don't know it. It's not a contractual effect neurally anymore, neurologically. It can't even spark the neurons in your mind because it was never subject to that dense vibration of being subjugated to an effect of a hierarchy that is completely false and only suggestive. So it's little things like that. But if you do get exposed to it on some TV somewhere, you should just see it in a laughable manner. You should just perceive it like, whoa, wow, the joke is on us if we really consent to that vibration of complete restriction and constriction. So the flower can't blossom because the soil it's exposed to and subject to is not nourishing. You choose that through comfortability reflex. And nothing is ever elicited from comfortability because it's a paradigm of limitation. And I go to the gym myself and just started getting back into it. I do now want to be a bodybuilder, but it just takes time. And I use this same mentality. I used to be nearly 19 stone of muscle, but I was taking enhancement drugs. I thought I was locked in a paradigm that to have this body, you had to externalize it. But just a quick thing. I was 16 stone because I'm from England. We work in stone, not pound. So I was 16 stone. I think 16 stone, 9 pounds. There's 14 pound in each stone. What? No, that is not right. That is definitely not right. Anyway, it's not mathematical, but there is so many pounds in each stone. And let's just say I was 16, over 16 and a half stone. And then I thought, right, I'm going to start training harder. And then I'm now 18 stone, maybe more, I'm not sure. But I'm very tall. So it's elongated, stretched. So that was through just now knowing that it is an accessible possibility for me to do this. It's just one example. It's just one micro example. And I thought I can do this. So I started training really hard. And it's like that seed was in fertile ground of cultivation. All I did was transmit the propagation of intent from the divine, said, let's make this happen. I'm lifting unbelievable weights that I'd not lifted since I was actually on steroids before to lift these kind of poundages of weight because it is all there anyway. Obviously, the look will not be like if you're using enhancements, like additional things. It won't be like that. It'll take longer, but prove it wrong. Try to prove it wrong. Don't injure yourself, and that goes for any other aspect. Don't bite off too much, because then it could actually, what's the word for it? Regress instead of gradually progressing out of the program. So, let's take a drink. I'll let that breathe for a little bit. Extremely. So, the programming is like it's static, and it's not sure about itself. There's no certainty, because there isn't in the program. It's been artificially instilled. So it's an edifice of a construct that is conning you into a structure of a framework that is not yours. You don't own it, so you can let go of it. But we now need to confirm this, not conform to it, but confirm that it's not us, and we can be free. And each time you go out in society, it tests this structure slowly, ease your way back out of your program, and realize that I don't have to be subject to this. And in each endeavor, test the program, keep pushing it a little further, because you'll realize that you could always have swam in the deep. You was meant to swim in the deep. You are a titanic energy that is inclusive to this whole experience. You are the whole ocean. So you can do this. And just keep testing the waters, and you'll see that once you traverse these densities of this paradigm, you'll see that how expansive it was, and that you are all of it. And then you don't take it like you have to prove nothing for validity anymore. It becomes of itself. It becomes more of perception of frivolity. You're not sympathetic towards people's symptoms of conditioning. You traverse it, and then you just reflect an unsympathetic effect to show them that that doesn't exist for nobody or anybody, because it's an illusion completely. Anyways, guys, peace and love. That's it for now. And stay strong with this sovereignty. Thank you.